In the last video, we have calculated the radius of different orbits of hydrogen atom, right? In today's video, we are gonna drive the formula for calculating the velocity as well, right? And that was done by, of course, Niels Bohr, and he used his both of formulas, like the equation 1, which was mvr is equal to nh by 2 pi, means angular momentum is equal to the integral multiple of h by 2 pi, and second equation in which he said that electrostatic force provides us the centripetal force, mv square upon r is equal to z square upon 4 pi epsilon naught r square, right? So let me write those both equations here first. Let me write these both equations here first. 8. Okay, so our first equation is in which angular momentum is equal to, which means mvr is equal to integral multiple of h by 2 pi. First equation, right? First equation. Our second equation was electrostatic force provides us the centripetal force, which means mv square by r gives us z square upon 4 pi epsilon naught r square, right? And this was the second equation. Second equation. Second equation. Now let me highlight these both. Let me highlight these both equations. This is our first equation, and here we got our second equations as well. Right? So now by using these both formulas, we are gonna drive our, the formula for finding the velocity as well, right? So let me write the first formula here. First we have was mvr, wait, let me write it properly. mvr is equal to integral multiple of h by 2 pi, nh by 2 pi, right? Now instead of this r, I'm going to put the value of r, right? Instead of r, putting the value of r, and this was our equation 1, right? Equation 1 of r in first equation, or in equation number 1, right? I wrote our first equation, which is equal to mvr is equal to nh by 2 pi. Now we need to put the value of r in this formula, right? And we know that the formula of r is what? N square h square epsilon naught upon pi m z square. So let me write this formula here. Wait, let me highlight this so that I cannot create any type of confusion here, right? Okay. So now we have value of r, which is equal to n square h square epsilon naught upon pi mz square, ze square, right? And that we have calculated. I have, guys, made you understand to drive the formula of this radius as well, right? By using these both equations, mvr is equal to nh by 2 pi, and mv square upon r is equal to z square upon 4 pi epsilon naught r square. So here I need to put this r formula or r value in the equation number 1. In equation number 1, right? Wait, let me highlight this as well. Now let's put mv, instead of r putting its value, n square h square epsilon naught upon pi m z e square, right, is equal to, we have n h by 2 pi, right, nh by 2 pi. Now see, this h is cancelled with this one h, n cancelled with this one n, right, pi cancelled with pi, or I should use another color. No, this is fine, I guess. This m is cancelled with m. Now what we have remaining is, we multiply by 1h remaining, 1 n remaining, epsilon naught remaining upon z e square remaining, right, is equal to, here nothing remaining, so 1 upon 2 remaining, right. Now see, this whole value is multiplying with v here. When it will gonna go there, it will be divide, right, it will be divide. Wait, let me highlight this here. Now let's take this value there so that we can divide. V is equal to 1 by 2 divided by, what's the value here, nh epsilon naught, nh epsilon naught upon z e square, right, z e square. Now we know the rule, when we are gonna convert this sign into multiplication, we need to take the reciprocal, right. We are converting the sign into multiplication and need to take reciprocal, need to take reciprocal. Let me highlight this point too, very important point, right, we need to take the reciprocal. So let's do that. 1 by 2, now I have converted the sign into multiplication. Now I have to take reciprocal of this value, right, z e square upon n h epsilon naught, right. Now multiply these both, multiplying these both, we got z e square upon 2 n h epsilon naught, right. Now this is the formula for finding the velocity. Now of course, if I have made you guys understand the derivation of this formula, I am going to tell you guys the shortcut of this too. As I told you, the shortcut of finding the radius, which was 0.53 into n square by z Armstrong. Here I am going to tell you guys the shortcut as well. But this is the actual formula of finding the velocity. Actual formula of finding the velocity. Now let's separate the constant, right. V is equal to, now z is not a constant, right, but the charge of an electron is constant, 2 is constant, shell number is not constant, however Planck's constant is constant, and epsilon naught is constant as well, right, into what we have remaining up is z, which is atomic number, right, upon down we have remaining n. Now this whole value or whole constant term is equal to 2.18 into 10 to the power 6 into z by n meter per second. This is the shortcut of finding the velocity of any electron in any shell, right. So let me highlight this as well, the actual shortcut. Let me write here, shortcut. In the next video, we're gonna find the velocity of different electrons in different energy levels or shells.